eternal Egypt. For centuries, the gods had protected the land. Then the rebel Pharaoh Akhenaten turned away from the gods and shook the foundations of the most powerful country on earth until it almost fell. Was Akhenaten a religious fanatic? Or was he the forerunner of Christ? The pyramids and temples of Egypt seem as if they will last forever. But there are some monuments that vanished almost as soon as they were built. Miles south of the pyramids of Giza is Amarna. Under its desert sands are the remains of one of the most puzzling sights in all of Egypt. Strange things happened here 3,000 years ago. A new religion was born, a misshapen pharaoh died, and Egyptologists are still trying to figure out what happened.
At the end of the last century, Sir Flinders Petrie, the founder of modern Egyptology, uncovered a vast lost city in the desert. It had everything he expected. There were temples, palaces, wide streets, but still something was missing. Gone were the scenes of the pharaoh smiting his enemies, marching into battle. There were also no scenes of the pharaoh making offerings to the hundreds of Egyptian gods. There were no gods. As Petrie continued to excavate, he was even more shocked. The pharaoh was shown as misshapen, elongated face, breasts, wide hips, swollen thighs. For 1,000 years, the pharaoh had been shown as young, vigorous, well-muscled, ready to go into battle. This pharaoh was shown as misshapen. It was almost as if a creature from another planet had been dropped in the Egyptian desert.
So what happened here some 1,300 years before the birth of Christ? To answer that, we have to look at the family of this rebel pharaoh. It was Egypt's most glorious era. Egypt had never been richer, more powerful, or more secure. Up and down the Nile, workers built vast temples to pay homage to the hundreds of gods. If the gods were pleased, Egypt would prosper. Akhenaten's father, the pharaoh Amenhotep III, lived in the great religious center of Thebes, city of the god Amun, whose round-topped storehouses were filled with the grain, oil, linen, and wine needed to pay the thousands of priests who served the gods. There was one main industry in town, religion, and right at the center of it all was Amenhotep III. His two colossal statues still stand on the Theban plain. Once they guarded a vast temple, now sunk beneath the soil. All the glory and wealth of Thebes would soon be shaken by a revolution the likes of which had never been seen. Amenhotep III was running the show during Egypt's glory years, so it's not surprising that the largest statue in the Cairo Museum shows him with his family.
There's Amenhotep III. And there's his wife, Queen T. They had 6 kids. And what's important is how the children were treated. There were 4 daughters. There's one of them. The statue's kind of a family portrait. And all 4 daughters were given important titles. There was also a son, Thutmosis. He was named High Priest of Memphis. And there was one more son, named Amenhotep, after Dad. He's not on this statue. He's not on any royal portrait. He's not in any royal record. There's a real mystery here. Why was the royal family totally ignoring their youngest son?
Even in early childhood, there seems to have been something wrong. Maybe he was just a strange child, with strange ideas. While his brother and sisters received titles and honors, there were none for young Amenhotep. When the royal entourage went to the temples to make offerings to the god Amun and to celebrate the festivals, we can imagine little Amenhotep left behind in the palace. Even the god Amun had rejected the boy. So the young prince was excluded from the temple ceremonies where his brother and sisters made offerings to the gods. Everything revolved around the temples and their thousands of priests. Pharaohs proudly inscribed on temple walls lists of the gold, silver, cattle, and land they had given to the god. In 1 year alone, a pharaoh gave the temple 113 pounds of gold, 2,000 pounds of silver, 5,000 pounds of copper, 25,000 jars of wine, countless loaves of bread, 300 measures of fine linen, and 12,000 acres of land. This was a world that rejected the young boy, but things were about to change.